The Alpha Investments sale of the LSS001 promo card was a thing. And I want to talk to you about what the card was, what the background lore of this card is, and then I want to tell you about what my thoughts and opinions are about this whole game that Rudy's playing with us. And then at the end, I want to put some conspiracy theories out there, man, because I think there's some depth in this. I think that the game might not be done. Now, first, I want to talk about the card. I feel like the general public is so confused about this card. Let me put it out there for you. This card was not given to Rudy for the 2-year anniversary of Flesh and Blood. The card, the LSS001 Prody of Rudy, the hero card, that card was given to Rudy in Q2 2020 as a thank you, as a thank you for, promoting their game early on. Because when Flesh and Blood was released in 2019, Q4 2019, what happened is they were in talks with Rudy, right? And then Rudy ran a sale, I believe, in March 2020. And that's when he publicly talked about, hey, this is Flesh and Blood. I'm starting to support it. It looks like a great game. He was a very early adopter to Flesh and Blood in March 2020. So as a thank you, Legend Story Studios sent the man, 1,500, approximate cards with him on it, as you've seen, to say, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for thanks for doing that. It was nice of you to promote our game with all your your big connections and all your big following. It's nice that you gave us a shot. When there's tons of TCGs out there, especially in 2020. The mindset of people was new games can't make it. New games can't succeed and stand the test of time. So that was a big thing. He stuck out all in a limb there, and it was huge. Now, the card was most likely printed in Q2 2020, and I don't know when Rudy got it, probably July around 2020. And at that time, if you look at the other store promo, which was the Go Bananas card for Mighty Ape, right? The store over in, I believe, Australia or New Zealand. That card was going for around $50, maybe $40 or $50 on the open market. So ultimately, the LSS001 promo, it wasn't that valuable at that current time because I feel like the game had not proven itself as of yet. So he just wanted to hold on to his card, and that's what happened. It was only until recently in 2021 that Rudy had talked to LSS and said, "Hey, I want to sell my card that you guys gave me. Can you create some packaging for me to do this thing?" And he openly admitted he paid $16,000 for all the packaging for this card to then give to the patrons, over sales. And I think that was the biggest misconception, is like this card was not for the 2-year anniversary. No. This card was printed as a thank you for supporting Legend Story Studios and Flesh and Blood in Q1 2020. So that's kind of the whole lore around the card. So I want to get into more of the card and what's in the thing. And I think what's really funny is the whole packaging of the card and the Fable cards in the 2-year anniversary box, right? It was designed and it looks like a secret layer, as a lot of people have noted. But what I think people had missed is that the secret layer part of it, right? There's a hidden bottom in the whole packaging, right? And in that bottom is the Fable card that's going to come out in the future, right? And I heard Rudy talk in a video in the past, this is so funny, that he wanted that in a secret layer box. Hey, I hope there's a hidden compartment, because that's the secret of the secret layer. You feel me? Because you have the whole box, which is the box, but then you want to have a secret, and the secret is hidden underneath. But I think what more people don't realize is that the card itself, right? If you read the subtext, right? I'm going to read a little bit. It says, "We are the Olin, the last line of defense against the rotten vermin that infest our world. They are endless. We are few." So, talking about that, the Olin sound like old guardians from like thousands of years ago. The vermin kind of sound like dregs from the lore, and dregs are like a zombie-like creature that infest and walk around and attack humans. Well, isn't it kind of odd that the secret in the Secret Lair is a fable that revolves around like zombie lore. And if you think about it, what other stuff has zombies in a Secret Lair? Secret Lair, The Walking Dead. So my mind, and I don't think people have talked about this much, I think that this references Secret Lair The Walking Dead. And if you've been in the Magic the Gathering community for a while, that was a big exodus of players and people in the community of Magic saying, hey, what the hell? You printed like, Walking Dead characters on black bordered Magic cards. I don't like this. Even though Brian, the professor of Tulane Community College, like his video about The Walking Dead just was like soul crushing to me to hear like the angst in his voice and just like, oh, like what are you doing? Like he just didn't like that decision making. So ironically, I think this whole thing, the 2 year anniversary bundle thing for the LSS001, I think it references Secret Lair, The Walking Dead, which was the Exodus moment, which a lot of people and players started converting over to Flesh and Blood. They said, hey, I don't like this. I want to look at some other stuff. And it made people more susceptible to the Flesh and Blood charm. And if that is, it's funny how this whole packaging like pokes at that. Like, tee. Because, this is just a Fable card that's going to come out in the future. They didn't say, oh, this is a Fable card that is going to, instantly come out in the next set from what I know. So it's just so funny to me. And it's like, this card is underneath a secret layer in the package, right? And if you think of layer like Layer, instead of Lair, it's layered underneath. I just think that that's pretty ironic and pretty funny. I think that is definitely definitely the direction that they're pointing this at, and it's a cool thing. Before I go any further on what I think about the whole sale and stuff, I just want to talk about my position. I purchased 2 of these. I love the game. I believe in Flesh and Blood. I am a collector. My long-term goals are pretty simple. I'm going to keep one permanently, and I really hope I can sell the other one for 2,000 plus, so I can cover the cost basis of the whole transaction. And basically, the first one has a 0 cost basis. That's my whole goal. But overall, man, let me talk about the whole sale and how it was done. I think it was done. It's a pretty interesting case study. So Rudy sold all these cards to his patrons, but he said, "Hey, here's the deal. We're gonna play a game, and like he's gonna sell so many up until he's out, but he's not gonna release to the patrons how many have sold at a given time period. Usually, he gives markers like, hey, 25% sold, 50% sold. So it was like a silent auction." And I think it was an interesting thing that he did, and you saw the results in the data, which was cool. But overall, the whole controversy and all that stuff, I don't really get, man. This is obviously a card for collectors. This isn't for players. You can't play the card. It's not a playable card in the game. You can definitely make a spoofy deck maybe in like a couple years down the line, but you'd literally have to have a PSA deck that was like 6 feet tall, and I don't know how you'd like reasonably shuffle that thing. So this is specifically a collector's card. People who are upset that I don't know why he's doing this, dude. It's his card. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it. And it just shows how much of an influence this man has over the game and how successful he's made it. If he can sell one promo card and make $1.4 million selling one card for $1,000 each, it just goes to show, how much influence and how much, clout that this man and his brand has over the game. And if you look at it just that, think of how much other effect he's had at the game, bringing people in. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, especially other content creators, and myself included, that say, yep, I watched a Rudy video one day, I saw Flesh and Blood was a thing, I looked into this thing, now I love this thing, and it was all because of this man. And if you think about how many of that story is proliferated around the Flesh and Blood community, yeah, it's a lot. So I definitely think that him doing whatever the hell he wants with his card is, it's no big deal. I could definitely see an argument for players if they said, oh, well, if the card was something like a Heart of Fandel or that was playable, or if it was some other like Spring Tunic or other cards that were expensive. But nah, man, the card's not playable. So it is what it is. But overall, I think it was a smart marketing play because it did get some people riled up. But that's the thing with marketing, especially in the year 2021. You have to make people emotional. You have to. If you don't make people emotional, people don't give a shit. Mark Rosewater said it really well back in the day with Magic the Gathering. He would give people surveys in Wizards of the Coast, right? And he'd say, "Hey, rate this card from a 1 to 10, right?" And he said the worst cards that you could get or worst ratings a card could get is if they did like 6 and 7s versus if you had a bunch of people who were 1s and 2s and 9s and 10s. Like polarizing cards that make you feel emotion are good. Same with marketing, and I don't know why this is a big surprise to a lot of people. It's like obviously this is what he's going for. Rudy's made many videos in the past and many videos recently talking about, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get everybody's panties in a wad, so it brings more people into the game or makes more eyeballs on the game. I mean, if you've there's an interesting Netflix article once. They said their biggest competitor is Fortnite. The reason why is because the market that they are in are eyeballs. So really, it's just increasing the amount of eyeballs, increasing the amount of emotions people have on this. But I didn't really see. I don't see what a lot of people were upset about because it's a card you can't play. It's just a historical piece of the game that is out there. So anyway, that's about it with that. But overall, as a collector, I just want to have one personally. Like in the future, I'll just want to sell the other one that I got. I got two, but I just think it is really cool packaging and it is really cool how it's like an homage to you know Secret Lair, The Walking Dead, I believe. But I want to finish this off, and I don't want to make this video too long. I want to talk about my conspiracy theory for the game. I don't think the game is done. I think Rudy has some stuff under his sleeve with this card personally. Now, when I have theories and conspiracy theories, I like to say percentages. I think it's a low percent chance that this is true. But there's just something in my mind, in the back of my frontal cortex. It doesn't all add up. I think it was just too simplistic. And if you've been Rudy's patron, he sent out a couple emails. Well, one of them, the first one I believe, about this whole promo, had a thing at the bottom and it hyperlinked the Robert Crown affair. Robert Crown affair is about a guy who stole a painting, and then after that, guess what? He returned the painting. He like painted over the paint. Oh yeah, a spoiler alert. If you ever want to watch that movie, but basically he returned the painting almost immediately. And after that, he put a link to what is it? One of those Oceans movies, and in the Oceans movies, they stole half the money and they booby trapped both of the monies, so they would explode if they were tampered with. So it wasn't just a bank robbery. There was something more. Same with Robert Crown affair. It wasn't just stealing the painting. There's something more depth behind it. I definitely think one thing I've been theorizing is that after the burning, after Rudy burns the 150 cards that nobody wanted to buy, maybe he goes on to the market and says, "Hey, I'll buy anybody's promo card for $2,000. I'll buy it. I'll buy him back for 2,000." Because think about this: he made 1.4 million after taxes. What is that? It's probably in the 45% bracket. I don't know taxes. I'm not that kind of you know, tax accountant type person. You know me. I'm just a normal guy. But he made a lot of money. But he even himself said, I don't really give a shit about the money as much. I'm just, this is just fun to me to do. It's a very historical piece. It's very sentimental to him. He said it many times for many things. Could it be that he's going to use those funds to just buy back a good portion of his own card and then maybe grade some in PSA 10? Wouldn't that be interesting? Because that was their goal all along in the beginning. He was saying with James White is to grade some with PSA 10. Could it be, even though he's kept 10 for himself, what if he's doing another game? Just like the Bazaar of Baghdad many years ago, where he said, "Hey, I'm going to play a game with you guys too. I'm going to buy out all the Bazaar of Baghdad's for $1,000. Or I might not. And that was a little game he played back in the day. What if the game is not over? And in the end of Rudy's recent video, he even said to us, look forward to playing the next game with you, or something along that line. So there is another game. It's like Squid Game. There, everyone doesn't die in the very beginning of the game. There's multiple layers of the game. There's 6 games, folks. There's many different games in Squid Games. Same with Fruity. Could there be other games devised around this card? I definitely think overall it is an interesting case study, and you have the data points. It's cool to see that people FOMO'd in the beginning and then FOMO'd in the end, and not much FOMO in the middle. And maybe like the time crunch at the end got people, heart rate up that they just want to purchase real fast. That is kind of interesting. But overall, just like the other little links that he sent, it's not just about what is going on immediately, right? It's not about the scam. It's about what happens after the scam that makes it all kind of make sense in the end. You feel me? So it's just something I have a intent interest on, and we'll see what happens in the future. And like I said, I think it's a very low chance that this is occurring. Maybe it is just a case study. Maybe the future games will be on other circumstances of Flesh and Blood or other cards or what have you. I just think it would be very interesting if not only did he sell the card, but then he bought a bunch back, because essentially burning cards takes a bunch of cards out of the market. But you know what also takes cards out of the market, and it was pretty much essentially burning, is when Rudy has them too. Because there's never a chance that those cards are going to see the light of day, in the next 20, 30, 50 years. Those cards are out. So it'd be very interesting to me if he did that. And what if he did the same thing in the past with Bazaar Baghdad? He said, hey, any cards that are below $2,000, I am purchasing. Like he say, hey, I have a scenario for you. I'm going to do one of two things. A, I'm going to buy out all my promo cards for 2,000 or less. Or B, I'm not going to do anything. Let's see what happens. And then the market just goes crazy. But I think that just to, put a little caveat here, I think as time moves on, and I've said this in the past, market manipulation of trading card games is definitely a thing. And I definitely know that right now there's no regulations on any of this shit, but, things have got to work in a good way to make it look like he isn't actively trying to pump and dump. So maybe that's not a thing. That's the only reason why I think he wouldn't do that sort of scenario. But I definitely could see something more of he secretly, slowly buys this card out once the hype is off and the new set, the supplemental set of Flesh and Blood comes out. Not many people are looking at the Rudy card anymore after 1-2 months after the burning. Maybe he buys a couple. Maybe he buys 5, 6, 10, 20, slowly but surely, and then finally releases that in a future date and says, hey, I own this much. I'm going to buy out, however many of these. Let's play a game. But just my thoughts. Looking forward to more games. And again, this was an interesting thing that happened in Flesh and Blood. I think that over time, when there's a documentary of the success of Flesh and Blood, which there will be, I think that the impact that Rudy has made to the game overall is definitely going to be seen to a lot of people who don't really know the full impact. And if the man can make $1.4 million coming out of the pockets of people, in a 24-hour period, think about how much money he's pumped, not only to himself, but to the rest of the local game stores, to the rest of the world out there, and has made such an impact to getting people interested in the game. Not only collectors and investors, but also, different players who have heard about this hype from people, and different people in the local areas that are like, hey, wait, I can go to these events and actually make $200 if I win a playmat. Collectability has increased the amount of players, but yeah, just my thoughts on this whole thing. I'm happy. I can't wait to get it in the mail and see how it all looks, and put it on like a bookshelf or something. But we'll see where the game leads. Thanks for watching.